Hey you guys, it's Megan, and today I am doing probably one of the most difficult videos I've ever had to do, and it's so frivolous and crazy, but this was so challenging for me. I ranked all the palettes that I bought in 2020, and there are 26 of them, which is just absurd for 1 year in general. But then trying to rank palettes, because I like them all, obviously, that's why I bought them, that's why they have remained in my collection. So trying to rank 26 palettes is like trying to pick a favorite child if you have 26 children. Like, it's really hard, especially like the back half of it. Like, I could pretty much pick my top like 10-ish palettes, but organizing them even was really challenging. But then like the middle and trying to decide this goes in front of this for this reason, and I finally have decided on the ranking, and I bet like immediately I'll change my mind, but this is where I ended up after I probably thought about this for like a good 30 minutes, because I was like, I need to make sure this is right, even though there's like, it's not the end of the world no matter what. But I like all these palettes. As a disclaimer, like, I'll say the reasons why some of them are ranked lower, and I was surprised by some of the ones that I ranked the highest, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I like all these palettes, that's why I have them. Let's just get into it. I'm gonna start from my least favorite. I couldn't pick a least favorite, but I had to. So I picked the Juvia's Place, the Nubian Royal. And this was from, I think, like their holiday collection. And this is a gorgeous array of really, really vibrant purples. And the reason I ranked this last is because I have barely reached for it. It has a pressed glitter, which I have been having a lot of eye issues in 2020. And one thing that I noticed seems to upset my eyes the most is wearing like pressed glitter. And I just don't reach for these types of purples very much. So it has like this really vibrant like fuchsia and this like super like blurple blue purple type of shade that is very pigmented and like definitely kind of tints your skin a little bit if you have light skin especially. And I'm not particularly drawn to this palette. Like, when I want to wear purples, I don't necessarily think of this palette because I don't love the tones. So that is the reason that came in last place, but it's still beautiful, I'm sorry. This palette, I totally forgot I even got in 2020. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. And I can hear the shocks, like I can hear the gasps across the world when I hold this palette up as being my second least favorite. So I really enjoyed this when I first got it, and then I have never, ever reached for it again. And it's a really like kind of nice, cute, retro color scheme with the grays and then the pinks, but I just really never, ever use this. And I want to pull this out again and remind myself how beautiful it is, because it has those nice, really like metallic shades and then a few mattes, but as of now, I really haven't reached for it. Then I have a formula I really like, but these palettes just don't really stand out in my collection. These are the e.l.f. bite-size palettes. So this is 3 of the 4 that I have. The other one is ranked a lot higher, but these ones, the Cream and Sugar, which is like the really neutral palette, Pumpkin Pie, which is the warm tone neutrals, and then Truffle, which is a very smoky palette with a gorgeous taupe shimmer. Like, this is stunning, but I just never really reached for these over other palettes in my collection because these colors are very common. Like, I have all of these colors in multiple other palettes, I'm sure. And these are super nice, especially for the price. But for me, I just don't really see them like standing out in my collection because it's just kind of like normal neutral shades that I have other palettes I enjoy more. So these are phenomenal, but again, they just don't really stand out in my collection. It like devastates me to put a really expensive palette near the bottom, but this Tom Ford Badass Quad, first of all, is amazing. It has like the full mirrored packaging. And the only reason this is in the bottom is because it's very hard to make a look with this palette without it just being a straight up smoky eye, because these three shades pretty much look just black on the eye. Like, even though this is a gunmetal, this is a black, and this is a burgundy, they all look the same more or less on the eye. And I love this like kind of cashmere taupe color. It is so stunning, and I reach for this actually a lot. Like, I pull out this palette for this color specifically because it's so beautiful and like super metallic and gorgeous. But the palette as a whole, I just don't think is really great, just because 3 of the 4 colors more or less look the same on my eyes. So I love this shade. I wish that was like in a different palette maybe. But yeah, that one I have ranked pretty low in my bottom 5. Okay, this one really upsets me, but it had to be done. So this is the Haus Labs Stupid Love palette. I love Lady Gaga. I love her so much. And I really enjoy this palette. Like, overall, I love the color scheme, especially these like purples and like this whole section right here. I really love. But the formula just isn't that good. And the mattes are really hard. And like, they're pretty nice, but they're really like powdery kind of, I don't know. And then the metallics are super hard. Like, I had to dig my finger in there, and you can see like it basically gets hard pan. Like, these are my 2 most used shades, and they just either crumble or they just get super hard pan. Like this one, my favorite shade, Alice, this is super crumbly, even though it is like one of the most stunning shades I have in my collection, and I love it so much. It's like a taupey purple shimmery shade. It's just, the quality isn't there, and I really never reach for like these types of tones, and I rarely ever go into the blues. So I mostly just like replay Alice, Rain on Me, and Enigma. Those are like the ones I reach for. I love that it has a mirror. I think that's really nice. I love the packaging. It's just the formula is not there. So that really devastates me on many levels, but I do love this palette despite all of that, because it's like all the shades are named after her newest album, and it just means a lot to me. So I love it, but it also just isn't really that high of quality. Do you see how like pained I am to do these like bottom like ranked ones? Okay, so this one I really like. I'm saying that about everything, but I just don't reach for it very much. So this is the Colored Rain Berry Cute palette, and I love the colors in this. So this has a really nice range of like warm and cool colors, because I love this Palm Berry. This is the color that stands out to me in this palette, and like when I want like a fuchsia raspberry color, I know exactly where to go. It's in this palette. And I like the other colors, but really that's the only one that stands out in my collection, and I've hardly touched the other shades. So that is the reason that one ranked really low, but it is still nice. Like, the formula is really good. It's way better than the Stupid Love palette. Okay, These two were also really hard to rank low, but the Flower Jungle Lights and the Pat McGrath Interstellar Icon, they're in these positions for basically the same reason, and that's because they're more of like special lid colors than like full eye looks. So I ranked the Jungle Lights in the next position after the Colored Rain, and so this has the most amazing metallic lid shades you have ever seen. And I'm wearing the green one on my lid today. And this palette also had like issues with one of the shadows crumbling when it shipped to me, so that like is a negative as well. But these are so soft, so buttery, so pigmented. These are just two of the shades, and you can see how like metallic they are, and they just go on like a dream. They are just absolutely phenomenal shades. So this is ranked lower because I can't make an eye look out of this. I just reach for this as lid colors, and then I reach for something else for my crease and the rest of my eye look. So that's why that one is here. And then the Interstellar Icon, oh, you guys know I love that blue. The blue is so special and so unique to my collection. It is like a blue purple, amazing like kaleidoscope of colors. It is so stunning. But then the other shades I don't reach for very much, and I just don't feel like these colors necessarily go with the blue. Like I can see these three shades going together, but the blue I always just pair either by itself or with like a very neutral crease color. So because of that, I ranked it lower, even though it is one of my favorite shadows. Like that blue is one of my favorite shadows in my entire collection. I really love this palette, but those are the reasons it's ranked lower. So let me shift the next batch in front of me and we'll get into like the middle ranked palettes. So the next palette in my ranking is the Tom Ford Super Nouveau. And so the reason this palette is ranked lower than some of my other Tom Fords is because I just got this for Christmas from my Aunt Sue, and I have only used it one time. I really like this color story with like the warmer cream shade, the like mauvey matte, the silver is really nice, and then this like smoky gray. I really like it, but I haven't used it very much, so that is why it is ranked a little lower. Then this one makes me so sad, but next is my Daydream palette from Tom Ford. So this is beautiful. This is my favorite purple palette that I have, and when I want like a dreamy purple, like, oh, just like stunning purple look, this is what I always reach for. But I don't want that all the time. So I rank this lower just because I don't always reach for these like shades. I'm more of a neutral girl for sure. But for a purple palette, this is as perfect as it gets for me. I love the Tom Ford quality in these shades. It's very similar to the Nude Dip, which I bought like in the past, so I didn't rank it in this video, but this is like that same type of wet dry formula, and it is just absolutely stunning. Like, I cannot get over these shades. Like, it is just so pretty. Definitely one of the prettiest palettes in my collection, and it pains me to put it in a lower spot, like not in my top 10, but it had to be done. This one also is really sad to me. This is the Dior Jungle palette. So this was the first Dior palette I bought, and I got this around Black Friday. And so this is a neutral palette with a peach and then more of like a sage olive green. These are the standout shades in the palette, and then there's like a neutral trio as well. And that's why I ranked this lower. These are really the special shades, the peach and the like olive green. and the other shades are neutral. Like, it's a great palette. I really love it, but the two shades that I swatched really stand out, but the rest of the palette really doesn't. So this got ranked a little lower than I thought it would. This palette I love so much, and I didn't know where to rank it, but I haven't worn it a ton, so I ranked it a little bit lower. But this is the Tom Ford Pretty Baby quad, and oh my gosh, I love this palette. The three like not super glittery shades are so buttery and just like perfect one shadow look colors. Like, you could obviously pair them together and make a beautiful like full eye, but you could also just wear each of them on their own, and they are just so creamy and beautiful. And then the standout shade is this pink blue like iridescent duochrome. It is so unique and beautiful, and I just really love this palette. I just had other palettes that I reach for more and use more, but I love this so much. This one I bought on my birthday, and this is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. And I wanted this when it came out, but it was like $70, which, although it's a really nice like big palette, I just think that's so much money. So I was lucky and I got it when it was on sale for like 40 something. And I really enjoyed this palette in the summer. I think that it's so pretty. I love the neutrals, but then I love the pops of color. And it's just a fun, different palette. It makes me happy, it makes me smile. And I just have nothing to complain about it. But I just haven't reached for this a lot since getting it in the summer, because it's more like a spring summer palette to me. Like, I don't really ever think of this in the fall or the winter. So I think when the spring rolls around, I'm going to use this a lot more, but just overall, it wasn't one of my like top 10. And then the last palette before we get to the top 10, oh, this was so hard, but I decided to put the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. And this palette is stunning. It is truly stunning. It is perfect for summer, fall. Like, these are the tones I think of during the fall especially. They're so buttery, so pigmented. The quality is phenomenal. And the reason it's not in my top 10 is because I don't reach for warm tones a lot. But when I do want a warm tone look, this is what I reach for. And I'm so fortunate that one of my subbies, Regina, sent this to me so kindly, and I love it so much, Regina. I don't want to upset you by not having this in my top 10, but it is beautiful. I just don't reach for these on a super consistent basis, but whenever I want a warm tone look, this is what I have reached for. So I do love it. So now let's get into my top 10 palettes that I bought in 2020. Coming in at number 10, I put my Chanel Le Beige Medium palette. This is a very new addition to my collection. I gave this to myself for Christmas 2020, and I love this palette. It is the perfect, simple, neutral, smoky palette. I will get so much use out of this. I will travel with this. I will love this till it is used completely up. I love it a lot, but you can't do very many different looks with this. Like, whenever I reach for this, I pretty much do the same look, and I like that. I love that look, but it's not very versatile compared to other palettes as we get further into my top 10. So this one I truly love, but it is coming in at number 10. Number 9 is another palette I really love, and this is the Taupes by Juvia's Place. And this was the first Juvia's Place palette that I felt like, this is for me, because pretty much all the other Juvia's Place palettes are super colorful or like more warm tone. This is the taupes. This is me in a nutshell. And I love that it has a variety of tones. Like, it does have a warmer crease color. It has a cooler, like, smoky shade. It has like a neutral type of crease color. And then these metallics, oh my god, they are beautiful. But the formula of them is just a lot harder than other metallics I'm used to, like a little more crumbly. So that is why this ranked a little lower. And the mattes are really, really hardly pressed too. Like, they're not super pigmented, which is fine, but I had to find reasons to rank things lower, or else I would have said everything's my favorite. So this is a full look at the palette. I just think it's a gorgeous palette. I could do with one more dark shade. I think that would make it perfect, but the tones are spot on. It is so good, especially for the price point. Like, it is phenomenal, and I really do love this, but I love some other palettes in my collection a little more. So this one is coming in at number 9. Number 8 is the ColourPop Going Coconuts palette. I love this packaging. It's their plastic package instead of like the cardboard. And this is just a perfect neutral palette. This has a little bit more of a warm and cool color scheme, and it's a majority matte. So we have like these mattes, and then all of these are mattes, and then the center row is metallic, and then we have Get Crackin', which is actually my favorite shade in the palette, and this is a matte with sparkle, which if you really build it up, like if you pack it on the lid, you get that sparkle in it. It's so beautiful, and it's like a cooler tone neutral brown with like all those shimmers, and it is stunning. And I also love De Coco. That is one of my other favorites in the palette. That is just a gorgeous metallic taupe, and I love this palette. I have no complaints about it. I just don't get as excited about this palette as I do some other palettes that are higher ranked. So if you're looking for a perfect neutral to cool tone palette that you could use every day, this is a stunning palette. Coming in at number 7, we have the e.l.f. Rosewater Bite Size palette. So this is just so unique and beautiful in my collection. I do the same look with this every single time, but I love this look so much. Like, if I want a cooler tone, purpley, mauve, smoky eye, this is what I reach for. I know the result that I'm gonna get, and it is stunning. This could easily be a Tom Ford palette and be sold for $88, but instead it's $4. It is so, so high quality, and I love that it's a metallic matte, another metallic, and a like, basically it's a matte, but it has some little sparkles in it, but really it just comes off as matte. It is just perfect. Like, there's no frills to it. You have all the like depth variation that you need to make one cohesive look, and it is perfect. It is perfect. I love it so much. But again, I only really do one look with it, so that's why it's not higher ranked. I feel like I don't know. I think, oh my gosh, okay. I think I'm having some conflicts of my top 6. Okay, no. I'm gonna stick with the order that I did them in, because I did them for a reason. So, coming in at number 6 is the ColourPop Boudoir Noir palette. This packaging is probably my favorite packaging of the year. My top 3 packaging, and all of my top 3 packaging is all ColourPop. But this is so stunning with the raised gold accents. Like, it is so, so beautiful. And this palette, I feel like I should move it up higher, but it's going to stay in the number 6 slot. So I love that it has a mirror. That gives it like a lot of bonus points. And then the colors are just perfection. This is a very unique neutral palette, and that's why it's higher ranked than a lot of my other neutral palettes. It has mustard, it has like a dingy sage green, it has like a warm gold, but that's not like too orangey. It has like these really pretty like warmer brown colors, and then it has like cooler tones up on the top. This is just a beautiful, unique neutral palette, and it really stands out in my collection. The quality is as you would expect from ColourPop, and if you haven't really tried ColourPop shadows because it annoys you that they come out with so much stuff, like that is annoying, but their quality is amazing. For the price, it can't be beat. It is just amazing. So this palette ranked a little bit lower because of the pressed glitter. And like I said, I've had a lot of eye issues this year, and one of my biggest like eye issues that I had was when I used this pressed glitter from this palette. So it has like a negative type of memory associated with it, but that is one of the only reasons it gets docked, but also because it just, I don't know, I just love the top 5 so much, and this just is a little bit lower. So this is number 6. Number 5 is one of my newest palettes, but I love it so much, and this is the Dior Tutu Quad, or Quint. There's 5 shades. And this is from one of my best friends, Chloe. She got this for me for Christmas. And it is everything. It is perfection. And this purple freaking lid shade kills me every time. It is so beautiful. This palette is so creamy and just a joy to work with. Like when I wear this, I love the look, I love the ease of use, and I just love this palette. It is so perfect. It is so perfect. I love it so much. And I felt like putting it higher in my ranking, but the other palettes I've had for longer. So I put this at the number 5 spot, but it is number 1 in my heart. So number 4, oh my god, I'm sweating. This is even more intense than like the lower ranked ones. Number 4 is the ColourPop Baroque palette. This also is one of my favorite packaging of the year. It is this matte, amazing, moody, like Victorian wallpaper floral print, and then it has Baroque in like the richest gold you have ever seen. And then the shades are so surprising, so beautiful. Oh my god, it just makes me so happy. It is smoky, it is rich, it is dimensional, it is unique, it is everything. So Secret is one of my favorites. It's like a really cool tone gray with a ton of sparkles. Noble is like the most amazing like oil slick type of color. Ritzy is phenomenal. They're all phenomenal. And then like these really rich dark colors are so pigmented, it is insane. And this palette shocked me. It impresses me every single freaking time I use it. It is just so stunning. It is so stunning. It is actually unique, which is hard to do in this time that like every single makeup product that could ever have been thought of already has been thought of. This really stands out to me. It just always makes amazing looks, and I primarily use this for one shadow looks. Like I love Secret packed all over the lid and smoked out, Noble all over the lid and smoked out. Like it's just a really easy palette, and whenever I want a cooler tone smoky eye, I always reach for this. Then we're in my top 3. My third favorite palette of 2020 is the Mandalorian, The Child, Star Wars palette, Baby Yoda palette, whatever you want to call it, from ColourPop. this illustration of baby frickin' Yoda is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is just amazing, amazing stuff. And then it says cutest in the galaxy with another illustration of baby Yoda. Like, can we just? That is so amazing. But the reason I love this palette is for the colors. These colors are so beautiful, so unique, and so high quality. And when I look at this palette, I pretty much don't even see this row. I just look at the greens, and it makes me so happy. I cannot even express how happy it makes me. I love Little Frog, which is like a dusty sage green with like a lot of micro shimmer. Sipping Soup is a metallic sage green. Babyface is this super pale bluish seafoam green color that is so beautiful and unique. Right Hand Mando is the most like reflective silver I have in my collection. Like, this palette is just unique AF. It is so nice. If you love greens, this palette I'm sure really has stood out to you. I didn't know how much I loved green shadow until I got this palette, and whenever I've used it, I make like my favorite look. And it's just this really beautiful cooler tone green. It is like so unique and so beautiful. They did such an amazing job taking the colors of Baby Yoda and putting it into this palette. It's just spot on in every single way. It doesn't have a pressed glitter. It is just perfect. I love it. My number 2, I think, will shock you. And it shocked me a little bit, but it also doesn't, because it makes me so happy. This is the Tom Ford Seductive Rose Quad. And when I think back to 2020, like best purchases, like most used palettes, this is by far one of my most used, most favorite palettes. And primarily it is for this shade right here. The other shades are stunning. I love them. It makes a beautiful, cohesive look. But this shade right here, this delicious, delicious, like wet. It looks wet, but it's not wet. It's the most high shine taupey purple in the world, in the galaxy. It is so beautiful. And whenever I wore this, I got compliments. What is on your eyes? I love your eye look. Like, it just was one of the most like attention grabbing palettes that I wore, yet it is so simple. It just looks like a neutral palette. And I got this in Rehoboth at the Tanger Outlet Mall at the Cosmetic Company store. It was like $35, which is so cheap for Tom Ford. And it is easily one of the best makeup purchases I made in 2020. And I will definitely reach for this so much in the future. Anytime I want that really shimmery look, like even this pink, it has that same formula. I just reach for the purple a lot more. But again, same super, super high shine, and it's just amazing. So that is my number 2 palette. And my number 1 palette, drum roll please, even though I'm sure you can see this coming, the Natasha Denona Glam palette. This was in my top favorites of 2020, of all beauty, and this is my all-time favorite palette that I have ever owned, not just that I bought in 2020. It is the perfect neutral cool tone palette. Like, move aside Urban Decay Naked palettes, this is the ultimate neutral palette for me, in my opinion. It is smoky, it is metallic, it is rich and diverse. Like the colors are a spectrum of like intensity. So some palettes are really light and there's like no dimension. Some palettes are really, really dark and there's no dimension. This palette has medium, light, deep. Like it is just the best. It is the best palette ever. And I love a smoky eye, if you haven't been able to tell. And I love a cool tone or neutral smoky eye, like not a warm tone most of the time. And if I were like a makeup artist or something, I feel like you could do so much with this one palette on so many different people in so many different scenarios. Like it is just phenomenal. They are the butteriest metallics. The mattes are really rich, but not like powdery, but also not hard to pick up. Like I would say some of the other mattes that I mentioned lower down on my list, they are really like nice on the eye and hard pressed in the pan, but it's really hard to pick them up on a brush. These pick up on the brush perfectly without a lot of fallout or like powderiness, and it is just perfection. It is truly perfection. And it's a higher price point. It's $65, but you get a ton of shades, and I just love the quality and the color scheme and everything. I just love everything about it. You just need this palette to achieve so many looks, but it's also a great accompanying palette because it has the basic mattes that you need that will go with any other palette. Like I can easily reach for one of my special shadows from the Jungle Lights palette, but pair it with mattes from this palette. And so it's just a really great basic to have that I feel like would suit pretty much everyone's needs. It might be a little smoky for some people, but for me, it is just spot on. And oh, it is just gorgeous. I absolutely, absolutely love this. So that is my #1 palette that I bought in 2020. No surprise there. But some of the other top 10 might have surprised you. My top 2 might surprise you. But that is everything, you guys. I feel very good with my ranking. I don't feel like I did it out of order because I was definitely feeling like, oh my gosh, I totally messed up. Like I really regret putting this palette there. But I think overall, I ranked them to the best of my ability. And like I said, I love all these palettes. I have kept all of them. And so that really means a lot because you know I love to declutter things. So I love these palettes. They're beautiful. I would recommend all of them. But I challenged myself to rank them, and this is what I ended up with. So I would challenge you guys also to rank all the palettes that you have, all the palettes you bought last year, or your palettes in different like brands, to rank them if you have a lot. I think I might do that with some of mine because I don't know, it's just really hard, but also makes you think about why you like different palettes and stuff. It's really fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, my very first ranking video. And if you want me to rank other things, let me know in the comments below because I would love to do more of these if you guys are interested. So thank you again so much. No hard feelings if your favorite palette was ranked lower on my list. I tried my best to explain why I ranked them lower or higher, but yeah. I just don't want anyone to be upset, but these palettes, I love them. They're in my collection for a reason, and yeah. So that is all I have for today. I hope you all are doing really well, and I'll see you soon. Bye.